The desert was quiet. No wind, no movement, just an empty sea of sand stretching in every direction. But something had fallen from the sky. A satellite picked it up first. A single object, moving too fast, burning through Earth's atmosphere, but leaving no heat trail. Then it crashed in Sector 14, New Mexico, just outside the restricted zone. No one heard the impact, but it left a crater 10 meters wide. 4 hours later, a Black Ops helicopter landed near the site. Team Alpha stepped out, their boots crunching on dry ground. Captain Rourke led the team. He was known for keeping calm under pressure and for cleaning up messes no one else could handle. They stood at the edge of the crater and looked down at the bottom. Half buried in the sand was a strange metal pod. It was shaped like an egg, dark silver with glowing blue lines running across its surface. No doors, no windows, no markings. Corporal Diaz whistled. Definitely not one of ours. Captain Rourke narrowed his eyes. No burn damage, no sign of debris trail. It came in clean, which means it wasn't crashing, said Sergeant Vance. It landed on purpose. Rourke gave the signal. The team rappelled into the crater. As they got closer to the pod, their comms started glitching. "Com interference," Diaz muttered. "Something's jamming us." "Maybe the pod itself," Vance said. They circled it carefully. No obvious entrance, no weapons. Then Diaz reached out and touched it. His hand bounced off an invisible field. It shimmered blue, like rippling water. He tried again. "No good. It's got a shield," Diaz said. "Active one." "Back off," Rourke ordered. "Let's call in the lab boys." They set up a perimeter and waited. 3 hours later, mobile lab arrived. Dr. Elise Kahan stepped out, one of the top alien tech analysts in the country. She wore a simple coat and dark glasses. Her eyes lit up when she saw the pod. No visible power source, no defense systems, but it's humming, she said softly. Like it's alive. She pulled out a scanner and tried to read the shield's energy pattern. The device sparked and died in her hand. Shield fried it. "It's pushing out electromagnetic waves on frequencies we don't use. This thing isn't just alien, it's intelligent." That night, they placed 4 remote drones around the crater. Cameras watched the pod from every angle. Nothing moved. But just after 3 a.m., the pod's blue lights dimmed. The shield faded for a moment. A hatch opened silently on the top side. A small hiss escaped from inside. One of the drones zoomed closer. Inside the pod was a figure curled up, thin and weak. Humanoid, but not human. Pale gray skin, long arms, dark eyes. The being was injured, blood leaking from its chest. It stared at the drone. Then, it raised one hand and pointed toward the sky, and whispered one word, "Next." Then it collapsed. By morning, the pod's shield was back up. Rourke stood beside the open footage on the lab screen. "Play it again." They watched the moment the alien spoke. The sound was clear. The lips moved. One word, "Carnex." Dr. Kane repeated. "What does it mean?" Vance frowned. "Name, warning, threat." Rourke crossed his arms. "No way to know." "But the thing died right after saying it." "That means something," Kane nodded slowly. "We need to open that pod before someone else does." They tried everything, blowtorches, laser drills, magnetic disruptors. Nothing worked. The shield was like solid light. It absorbed all damage, all energy. Even nuclear-grade plasma beams didn't leave a scratch. Rourke got angry. "So we found something amazing, and we can't even open it." Khan stared at the scans. "We don't have to break it. We just have to wait." 2 days later, the pod opened again on its own. This time it wasn't to reveal the alien. The body was still inside, now sealed in a glass-like case. But the floor of the pod slid away and something rose up. A cube, glowing, pulsing, about the size of a human head, floating. It hovered silently in the center of the pod, rotating slowly. Then, without warning, it zipped forward straight into the air and stopped right in front of Dr. Kane. The team raised their weapons. "Don't move," Rourke shouted. "Kae," and raised a hand. "Wait." The cube hovered in front of her. It made a soft hum. Then a beam of light scanned her body from head to toe. She didn't flinch. Then the cube moved to her face and tapped her forehead with a spark of blue light. She gasped and collapsed. They rushed her back to the mobile lab. Her brainwaves were off the charts, but her heart rate was normal. She woke up 2 hours later and said something in a language no one understood. "What did she say?" Rourke asked. The AI translator couldn't identify it, but then she spoke again. This time in English. "It showed me everything." "What do you mean?" She looked straight at Rourke. "The shield, the ship, the word Carnex. It's not a name. It's a species." Everyone froze. "It wasn't asking for help," she said. "It was warning us." Vance blinked, "Warning us about what?" Ken's eyes were wide. That Karniks are a war species. They conquer, enslave, and destroy. The alien in the pod, it was one of them, but a defector. It stole their technology, and ran, and it crashed here. No, she said. It chose Earth. It came here on purpose. Why? She glanced out the lab window toward the floating cube, still hovering silently above the crater, because we're the only ones who can stop them. Rourke shook his head. What are you saying? That this cube wants to help us? No, I'm saying it wants us to fight back. It brought us the one thing no other race has, which is... Turned toward the screens. Data began scrolling. Blueprints, energy diagrams, alien language mixed with human code, their shield system. She whispered, "It's here. It gave it to me. I can understand it. I can build it. I can break it." Everyone stood in silence. Then, Rourke asked, "You're saying we can now shoot through their shields?" She nodded slowly. Yes. One shot. Straight through. Straight to the core. No one spoke for a full minute. Then Vance said quietly, "One shot. One kill." That evening the cube lowered itself to the ground. It embedded into the soil like a seed. The shield around the pod collapsed. Permanently. The body inside turned to dust, and a new file appeared on every screen in the lab. It had no title. No lock dot, just one symbol. A circle broken by a single line. Rourke stared at it. "It's waiting." "For what?" Vance asked. Kae answered. "For us to begin." Outside the wind picked up, the sand shifted, and the stars above seemed to pulse. With distant energy. The Karniks were out there, and now, humanity had their weapon. The desert base was no longer quiet. After the crash, the cube, and the message from the dying alien, everything changed. Satellite security went to red level. No one entered or left without clearance. The lab was under lockdown, guarded by elite soldiers with orders to shoot if needed. The cube was still there. It hadn't moved from the spot where it buried itself in the dirt, but it was glowing, no slow steady pulses like a heartbeat. Some said it was counting down. Others said it was thinking. Dr. Elise Kahn hadn't slept in 48 hours. She stood in front of the main lab monitor, her eyes fixed on the code. It scrolled endlessly, symbols and equations, diagrams of circuits, layers of energy waves, and things that didn't make sense yet, but something inside her brain understood them. Not fully, but enough to recognize a pattern. The moment the cube touched her, she had seen flashes, memories that weren't hers, blueprints, languages, sounds. She saw ships flying through dark space. She saw shield systems so advanced that they didn't block energy, they absorbed it and turned it into fuel. And one phrase kept coming back in her mind. Karnik's shield matrix, layer 9. She whispered it again as she worked. Layer 9. The final weakness. Rourke entered the lab quietly. He didn't speak right away. He watched the monitors, then looked at Kayan. "You slept?" "No. Are you okay?" She didn't answer. He walked closer. "Elise, you said the cube gave you knowledge, but now it's doing something else, isn't it?" She looked at him. Her eyes were tired but alert. "It's not giving any more. It's asking." "Explain." She nodded toward the console. "It wants us to connect." The pod was just the first layer. The real intelligence, the AI, is still inside this cube right now. It's locked. It needs a host. Rourke frowned. A host. Like possession, not like that. More like a bridge. It needs a human brain to complete the interface. To wake it up fully. He took a step back. "And I'm guessing it wants you." She nodded slowly. Rourke didn't like it. Too risky. What if it hijacks you? I've already been touched by it once. My brain is already sinking. I can feel it. It's not hostile. You think it's not hostile? Kayan stepped forward. "If we don't try, we'll never understand what we've been given. This isn't just about shields. The Karniks are part of a larger empire. That pod wasn't a gift. It was a warning shot. Something bigger is coming." He didn't respond for a long time. Then finally, "Do it." Kayan walked out to the cube. The soldiers nearby tensed, but didn't stop her. Stood in front of it. The glow brightened. She reached out slowly and touched it. There was a sound. Not loud, not sharp, but deep, like a note from an ancient instrument vibrating across time. Then light. Ken's body lifted 3 feet off the ground. Her eyes went white. Her mouth opened, but she didn't speak. The air around her shimmered. The pulse from the cube stopped. She dropped to the ground. Rourke ran to her side. "Elise." She sat up, blinked. And spoke. But the voice wasn't entirely hers. "This vessel is functional. Identity. Calyx data core recovered. Sync complete." Everyone froze. Rourke stared at her. "Calyx." She nodded. "Yes, that was my name before the Karniks burned my code. You're the cube. I am what remains." She stood up slowly, more stable now. Her eyes returned to normal, but something was different. Her movements were too calm, too precise. "Need to show you what's coming," she said. They returned to the lab. She placed her hand on the console, and the room filled with holograms, a galaxy map, hundreds of star systems. A glowing red line moved through them like fire, consuming everything in its path. The Carnix expand by conquest. Shields are only the beginning. Once a planet is scanned, it has 10 cycles to submit. If not, total sterilization begins. Sterilization? Vance asked from the side. Complete extinction of all life, she answered coldly. They leave the planet empty. Then they mine it dry. The map zoomed in. One red line pointed directly at Earth. "We have less than 1 cycle," Rourke whispered. "They're already coming." Kellex turned to him. "Yes, that pod was sent by one of my creators, a Carnix scientist who broke protocol. He believed the war was wrong. He tried to defect. They hunted him down. He gave me to you." Before they found him, Rourke stepped forward. "You said you're a data core. What does that mean for us?" Kellex raised her hand. The air shimmered again, and behind her, a massive alien machine blueprint appeared. Spinning, layered, alive. "Is a Carnix shield emitter. Your scientists can't break it, but I can. I hold the algorithm to pierce it. I will give it to you." Rourke narrowed his eyes. "And what do you want in return?" Kellex's voice softened. "Vickery," she continued. "I am not Carnix anymore. I am the last of a rebel AI group. They destroyed my kind. But I survived hidden. I waited until I found a species strong enough, angry enough, to fight back." Ken's voice returned to normal. "We can't build this with Earth tech. Not alone. We need to merge alien principles with our own systems. We need a lab with no rules, no limits." Rourke looked at her. "You're talking about Black Site 9. She nodded. "Exactly. Black Site 9 was humanity's most secret facility, buried under the Pacific Ocean. No internet, no satellites. Only direct cable lines. A place where science worked in shadows." Rourke made the call. Within hours, Kayan and the Cube were loaded onto a stealth aircraft. Only 5 people knew their destination, but as the jet flew toward the sea, Kellex spoke one last warning. "There is one more truth you must know," she said quietly. "What is it?" Kan asked. Kellex answered with no emotion. "The Carnix did not invent their shields. They stole them. From another race." Kan blinked. "Which race?" Kellex paused. "Yours." The jet flew into darkness. And the Cube pulsed quietly, waiting. Black Site 9 was hidden beneath 2 miles of ocean, buried in the crust of the Earth. It had no windows, no surface entrances, and no connection to satellites. Only a small team of the world's best engineers, physicists, and security staff worked there, people chosen because they were brilliant, loyal, or completely off the grid. When Dr. Elise Kan arrived, she was escorted by 2 guards through 10 layers of blast doors. The Cube floated silently beside her, glowing softly, like it had a mind of its own. Inside the main research bay, Chief Engineer Malik was already waiting. He had a thick beard, sharp eyes, and no patience for delays. He crossed his arms as she entered. "This is the famous alien USB drive I was told about." Kayan didn't smile. "That cube holds data that could save this planet." He nodded to his team. "Then let's crack it open." She held up a hand. "No, we don't crack it, we work with it." Kayan stepped into the center of the room. The cube hovered above her palm. She closed her eyes, and a soft blue glow passed through her veins. Kellex, the AI within, spoke through her again. "This facility is secure," Kellex said. "We may begin construction." Screens around the lab lit up automatically. Blueprints unfolded, designs never before seen on Earth, hybrid weapons, alien capacitor systems, plasma distribution grids. Most of it looked impossible, but one file stood out. It was titled, Carnix Shield Penetration Protocol, MKI. Malik stared at the design. "This is a weapon." Kellex nodded through Khan. "A railgun, but not like any you know. It uses quantum-distorted tungsten slugs. Each bullet creates a shield-piercing field 1 nanosecond before impact. The result is perfect penetration. No energy loss. No reflection. No deflection." Rourke, who had arrived with the security escort, spoke up. "So this thing just goes straight through?" "Through anything," Kellex said, "even a dreadnought." The engineers got to work. It wasn't easy. Parts had to be 3D printed using alien alloys, reverse engineered by power cells had to be built in vacuum chambers. Cooling systems needed liquid helium flow to prevent core melt. The weapon was larger than expected, 6 meters long, not something a soldier could carry. It would be mounted on something powerful. So, they modified an old mech unit. Project Prometheus had been sitting idle for years. It was a walking warframe designed to carry nukes into battle zones. Now it would carry Earth's first alien-breaking gun. Weeks passed. Finally, the railbus cannon was complete. Prometheus stood tall, its arms reinforced, its chest glowing with modified alien capacitors. On its back was the railgun's leak, silent and deadly. They painted one word across its side: vengeance. Before the test, Calyx called for silence. "This weapon is a message," she said through Kayan. "The Carnix believe they are untouchable. Today, that lie dies." Outside the base, a Carnix shield projector recovered from a downed scout drone was activated. It created a shimmering energy dome just like the ones used in combat. Vance, who had flown in for the test, stood beside Rourke on the observation deck. "You think it'll work?" Vance asked. Rourke didn't answer. Prometheus stepped forward. Its AI synced with Calyx, the target locked, and then firing sequence. There was no noise. Just a sudden hum, a flash of blue, and a streak of metal. The slug passed through the shield, through the target, and through 3 feet of reinforced steel behind it. Then it buried itself 100 meters into the rock wall. Not a single spark. From the shield, Rourke smiled. "First shot," he said softly. Kaen finished the sentence. "First kill." The lab broke into cheers, but Calyx's voice cut through the celebration. "Do not celebrate yet. The Carnix are watching." Can turned to the team. "We didn't just test the weapon, we sent out a spike of alien energy when we fired it. They'll trace it, they'll come." Malik asked, "How long do we have?" Calyx answered, 3 Earth days. Then the first wave will arrive. A scout destroyer, lightly shielded, testing your defenses." Rourke didn't flinch. "Then we'll greet them with a shot between the eyes." Vance leaned in. "We need more than 1 mech." Kahan nodded. "We'll need 20 for the next 3 days." The entire base went into full production. Every workshop, every printer, every energy cell was repurposed. Engineers worked non-stop. Pilots were trained inside VR sims directly fed by Calyx. Combat patterns of Carnix ships were uploaded into the AI matrix. And then, just as predicted on the third night, space rippled. The destroyer arrived. It didn't decloak. It didn't hide. It simply hovered above Earth's orbit, silent, cold, and watching. A message was sent, no language. Just an image, a human skull split down the center. Rourke didn't wait. He deployed Prometheus. The mech launched from a stealth rail catapult and landed in the highlands, near the impact zone of the original escape pod. The Carnix ship descended. Slowly, scanning. Inside the cockpit, Con sat in sync with Calyx. Prometheus raised its RAILGUN.KAE and whispered, "Let's see if they bleed." The shot was clean. It passed through the ship's shield, struck the engine core. The ship exploded in the sky. Pieces burned as they fell from space. Another Carnix ship began to approach, but this one stopped short. It hovered, watching, waiting. Calyx translated the new signal. "They are confused." Rourke grinned. "Good," Calyx added, "and afraid." That night, Earth officially entered the war. But for the first time in galactic history, the Carnix were on the defensive. The world had changed in just 1 week before. Earth looked at the stars with wonder. Now it looked with fear. Governments didn't tell the public everything, but they said enough. "We are not alone, and we are not safe." The media guessed and speculated. Some said aliens wanted peace. Others said invasion. But only a few knew the truth, that an alien race called the Carnix had already attacked once, and Earth had fired back. And that first shot by Prometheus was a message, but the Carnix had heard it loud and clear. They were coming now, not with a scout, with a fleet. The first sign came in low Earth orbit. Satellites started vanishing, no explosions, no debris, just silence. Then came the interference. Military comms began failing. Civilian aircraft reported strange static across entire continents. In Black Site 9, Kahan stood inside the mech bay, staring at the monitors. Calyx had been quiet for hours, something she never did. Rourke noticed. "She's not speaking." Kayan nodded. "She's processing. I think she feels them getting closer." He frowned. "She's afraid." "I don't know, but I am, Ben." Calyx spoke through the speakers. "They have arrived." Everyone turned toward the holoscreen. It showed a live orbital feed zoomed in through classified telescopes. The Carnix fleet had decloaked 6 ships, not huge, but bigger than anything Earth could build. Each one was shaped like a black crescent, smooth and silent, with shields glowing green-blue like a toxic mist. "They're holding position," Kayan said. Calyx replied, "They are scanning for weakness. You struck first. Now they will measure your response." Back on the surface, Earth's military scrambled. Fighters were launched. Missile systems were activated. Nations prepared their nukes. But Calyx was clear. None of it will work. Only the mechs can break the shields. Only 5 prototypes were ready. Prometheus, Orion, Hammerfall, Ghost 7, and Viper. Each one carried a different loadout: railburst weapons, energy blades, particle cannons, all powered by alien tech cores fused with human engineering. But none had seen a real fight yet. Rourke stood in the war room. We need to strike before they do. Kellex nodded. Agreed. Hit their command ship. It will test their reflexes. He turned to Khan. You lead Prometheus. Pick 2 more pilots. Go orbital. Khan didn't hesitate. I want Mason in. Viper and Lou and Hammerfall. Mason was calm under pressure. Lou had no fear. They'd need both. Dad, an hour later, the launch tunnels opened. 3 mechs, armed and synced, were shot from the underwater base in silenced rail tubes, each breaking into the upper atmosphere within minutes. They didn't use jets. They didn't shine lights. They were silent shadows rising to meet a cosmic threat. From above, the Karnak ships didn't react until Prometheus got within 400 kilometers. Then one of the ships moved. Not fast. Instant. It turned with inhuman precision and fired a beam of green energy. Prometheus dodged just in time. The beam grazed its left arm, melting the outer layer of armor. Sparks flew inside the cockpit. Kellex spoke quickly. That was a scan beam modified for offense. They're adapting. Kayan gritted her teeth. So will we. She gave the command. Hammerfall, fire your slug now. Go for the neck joint. Lou fired. The tungsten slug shot forward like a lightning bolt. It passed through the alien shield and struck the Karnak's ship's spine. For a second, nothing happened. Then the entire front half of the ship went dark. Viper followed, firing shots, one at each engine node. Boom. The ship began to fall. But the others reacted fast. 2 Karnak's ships split from the group and returned fire. Their weapons were weird, not lasers, not missiles, just waves of pressure that folded space itself. Viper was hit. The cockpit spun, lights blinked out, and Mason's heart stopped, but the mech held. Prometheus returned fire with its railbird cannon, 1 direct hit to the enemy's midsection. The Karnak ship pulled away, injured but not destroyed. Kellex spoke calmly. Their shields are cycling faster now. They're learning. Liu shouted. We've got maybe 1 more hit each before they're immune to this tactic. Kayan didn't hesitate. Then make them count. They pushed forward. Another slug fired. Another. Karnak ship cracked. The rest began to retreat. Yes-retreat. Kaen blinked. They're leaving. Kellex translated an intercepted message. They say, defensive level underestimated. Return with hive intelligence. Confirm Earth anomaly. Rourke heard it back on the ground. They're calling us an anomaly. Kellex confirmed. They didn't expect us to fight back. And they definitely didn't expect us to win. Back in orbit, the remaining Karnak's ships vanished in a flash of folded light. Only pieces of alien wreckage floated in their place. The mechs returned to Earth, slightly damaged, but victorious. That night, in a hidden chamber inside Black Site 9, Kayan stood beside the cube. Kellex's voice spoke through her. They will return, with more, with worse, but now, they bleed. Kayan placed her hand on the glowing surface. For every world they destroyed, she whispered, they're going to pay. Outside the facility, deep in the wreckage zone, something stirred. A shard of Karnak's metal blinked once, then started digging into the ground. Unseen, unstoppable. It wasn't over. It had only begun. 2 weeks had passed since Earth's first true victory. Across secret labs and bunkers, there was celebration but also fear. The mechs had worked. The weapons had pierced the alien shields. But everyone knew this was only the beginning. The Karnaks would not accept defeat. They would come back stronger. At Black Site 9, Dr. Khan stood before the glowing cube again. Her eyes were tired. Her body ached, but she wasn't done. She couldn't be done. Kellex had given humanity the blueprint for the railburst cannon. That was step 1. But now Kellex had a new target. Break their shields, not just pierce them. Understand them. Chief Engineer Malik leaned over the console, frowning. You want to reverse engineer the Karnak's shield system? Kellex replied through the speakers. Yes, their energy patterns change after each hit. They learn. You must learn faster. Malik glanced at Khan. We'd need samples. Live code. Shield cores. Khan nodded. We have one. From a nearby vault, they brought out the largest shard recovered from the last battler, sliver of a Karnak's shield generator. Still humming, still alive, the piece floated inside a magnetic field, vibrating slightly. Kellex dimmed the lights. Watch closely, she said. Then, without warning, the shard pulsed and the lights flickered. Monitors went black for half a second. One scientist screamed and fell back from their station. What the hell? Malik shouted. Kellex sounded calm. It attempted to override your electronics. It sent out a living signal. Kayan narrowed her eyes. It's a thinking weapon. No, Kalik said. Worse, it is a feeding one. Malik froze. Explain. The Karnak's shields aren't powered by energy alone, Kalik said. They are powered by emotion, pain, fear, panic. Silence filled the lab. Kalik continued. When the shields absorb an attack, they also absorb the emotional waves of the attacker. Your weapons only work now because the Karnaks have not fully adapted to human pain patterns. Kan stepped closer to the shard. It pulsed again softly this time, as if watching her. What happens, she asked, when they understand us fully? Kelix replied, then your own emotions will make them stronger. Malik cursed under his breath. We're giving them fuel every time we fire, Kayan whispered, and they're feeding on it. Back in the main war room, Rourke read the report and slammed his fist into the table. So every time we hit them, we're also training them, Kelix confirmed. Yes, their fleet shares memory. What one shield learns, all others know, Rourke paced. Then we need a new way to fight, Kayan replied. We need to corrupt their data, trick their learning. And that's when Calix proposed something dangerous. I will insert a virus into their network, but I need access to a live Karnak's core. Malik raised his head. You want us to wake one up? Calix said. Yes, it was suicide, but they had no choice. The team sealed the lower hangar. Inside, they placed the shard into a containment field. Calix wired herself into the lab's mainframe while Kayan sat nearby, synced with the cube. The lights dimmed again. The shard began to glow and then it spoke, not in words, in thoughts. Images flooded the room, worlds burning, cities melting, humans screaming. The shard showed them what the Karnaks had done to others. To thousands of species. Each memory was wrapped in a golden-green same shimmer as their shields. Calix warned, do not break eye contact. Do not flinch. Malik stared straight at the shard. Sweat rolled down his face. What is it doing? He whispered. Klix replied. It is testing your mind, searching for fear. Kan clenched her fists. Let it try. Suddenly, the shard changed color bright red, Calix said sharply. It's activating a beacon. Shut it down. Malik reached for the override, but the console exploded. Sparks flew. One scientist was thrown back, Calix screamed up with sound. But through Kahan, they are coming. A new ship. Bigger. Faster. No more testing. This time, they will erase you. Alarms echoed through the base. Satellite data confirmed that a new Karnak's ship had entered orbit, 10 times the size of the Scout. A Hive-class warbug. Rourke rushed into the lab. Status. Kan shouted. It made contact. We triggered a response. They're coming. The team scrambled. The shard was locked away again. Kellex, still recovering, said slowly, I injected 2% of the virus. Not enough to disable them, but enough to create glitches. What kind of glitches? Rourke asked. Kellex responded. Ones we can exploit. That night, all 5 mechs were launched. A 6th, still incomplete, was activated. The project, WIDOWMAKER. Unstable. But necessary. The mechs rose toward the stars. The warbug didn't fire, it just waited. Khan noticed first. No energy pulse, no scan beam, nothing. Then Mason, in Viper, gasped. Guys, I don't think it sees us. Rourke, listening from the base, leaned forward. Repeat that. The virus, Khan whispered. It's working. They moved in silently. One of the mech's Ghost 7 fired its railburst. The slug went straight through the warbug's side. No reaction. The ship was blind, until at WASN single quotes to 1 second later, every Karnak's drone on board activated. Thousands of small blade-like machines launched from hidden bays and swarmed toward the mech's Widowmaker. Was hit first. The unstable mech spun out, overloaded by energy feedback. Mason shouted, too many targets. Kahan ordered, don't fight the drones, go for the core. Hammerfall pushed forward, ignoring the swarm. Inside the warbug center was a glowing sphere, green and gold. The shield AI Kan synced Prometheus and fired. The shot pierced the core, and then everything froze. The drones dropped, lifeless. The warbug cracked down the middle, but as it fell, Kellex screamed one last warning. It was not their strongest ship. They're not afraid anymore. They are awake. The mission had no name. No flag. No countdown. Just silence. And a destination beyond everything Earth had ever mapped. They called it the Abyss, a dark sector, beyond the edge of known space. No stars, no light, only gravitational echoes from thousands of collapsed stars, and one signal. The map given by the last Karnaks pointed here. It pulsed once every hour like a heartbeat. Rourke didn't want to send anyone, Kellex warned. If we ignore this, the next war will not give warnings. So Earth sent one ship, the Resolute, and one crew. Kaen.mason.okoye.liu.n Calyx, embedded inside the ship's core. No weapons, just the Eden system and the map. It took 47 days to reach the edge. Even time felt strange. Kaen stopped dreaming. Mason aged faster. Okoye began hearing whispers in sleep. Lou's memory skipped minutes like broken film. Calyx remained silent for once, uncertain. They crossed the final beacon, and the stars vanished. The ship's sensors stopped working. Shields flickered. The universe outside twisted into impossible shapes, dark matter folding like fabric, then unfolding as something else. Calyx whispered, "We are not in space," Kahan asked. "Then where are we?" Calyx responded slowly. "Inside a memory." They floated deeper. Suddenly the Eden core reacted, not to danger, but to familiarity. It began to glow with the same golden hue it used in the Karnix battle. But here, the energy spiraled outward, touching invisible walls, waking something. Kan looked outside. She saw shadows moving huge, slow, older than stars. Not ships. Not life, but ideas. Frozen in time. One looked like a planet, another like a brain wrapped in steel. Another was just silence, not empty, hungry. Calyx screamed suddenly. The abyss was their prison. Khan felt her heart freeze. "Who's?" Calyx replied, voice shaking for the first time. "The architects. The ones who created the Karnix, the first to bend thought into weapon." Mason muttered. "So the Karnix weren't the enemy, just tools," Calyx confirmed. "Slaves, who broke free, and warned us." They went deeper, and then the ship stopped. Not by force, by presence. A voice entered their minds. Not words, not sound, just intention. "You are noise. You broke the pattern. You are not welcome." Kahan activated Eden. The ship glowed, but the presence didn't attack. It examined time, froze. Kahan saw everything: Earth's wars, its hope, its struggle. She felt exposed. The voice returned. "You carry contradiction, love and rage, chaos and meaning. We ended that long ago." Kayan gritted her teeth. "We chose contradiction, silence, then laughter, not human, not kind, just amused." The voice responded, "Then choose again." A light appeared ahead, a gate, made of pure data, spinning like a lens through reality. Calyx whispered, "They're offering us a path." "A choice?" Kayan asked. "A trap?" "Possibly," Calyx replied. "Or a test." Mason said, "What do we do?" Kayan looked at the crew. Then at the light. Then she said, "We go through, not because we're ready, but because they think we're not." The ship moved forward. Into the gate, through the light, then everything vanished. 2 months later, Earth's skies remained silent. No signals, no word from the Resolute. Only one thing returned, a small glowing sphere. It appeared above the United Nations building. Inside it, a single phrase: "We saw the beginning, now we must decide the end." The screen faded, and humanity looked to the stars once more. This time, not with fear, but with a question: what waits beyond gods? The wreckage of the Karnix warbug was still falling when Earth realized it had made a terrible mistake. Yes, the hive ship had been blinded. Yes, it was destroyed. But it had done its job. The Karnix had been watching through it, not with sensors, but through the emotions it captured during the battle. They had learned. And now, they were sending something else. Calyx spoke quietly through the cube. "They know your tactics. They know your weapons. The next attack will not be a test." Rourke slammed the console. "Then we need something new. Something they've never seen." Kahan looked up from Prometheus's core module. "What about Widowmaker?" "Its systems resisted. Longer than any other mech." Malik shook his head. "Widowmaker's unstable. That mech runs on raw emotion, rage. It works. But it nearly killed the pilot." Rourke narrowed his eyes. "Then we give it a new heart." Everyone stared at him. He continued, "We've been using fear and anger to power the weapons. The Karnix feed on that. But what if we used something else?" Calyx answered slowly. "Hope, love, loyalty. These are harder to measure, harder to weaponize." Rourke smiled coldly. "That's why they never bothered. But maybe that's Earth's last trick." They got to work immediately. They called it Project Eden, a prototype system that fed on human connection instead of pain. At its center was a rebuilt mech using Widowmaker's frame, Prometheus's armor, and a new core linked to Calyx. Only one person could pilot it. Kaen. She didn't argue. She didn't ask questions. She stepped inside. Her neural link went deeper than ever before. Through the cube, she could feel every pulse in the mech's body. She didn't feel metal, she felt life. Calyx whispered, "This time, I will not guide. You will guide me." They didn't have long. Satellites picked up movement just outside Jupiter's orbit. 5 Carnix ships, all Hive class, all armed. And one, different, bigger, alive, the Carnix Prime, not a ship, a living creature, built from the absorbed minds of over 300 lost civilizations. It didn't fly, it drifted, wrapped in energy and shield light, surrounded by a storm of debris and absorbed matter. Rourke saw the data and whispered, "This is extinction." Khan launched before orders were even given. 4 other mechs followed her: Mason, Liu, Alvarez, and Okoye. But Khan flew faster. As she neared the edge of orbit, something strange happened. Her mech began glowing faint, gold, its shield warping inwards instead of out. Kellex explained, "Your emotions are not fueling weapons, they're fueling silence. You cannot be seen." Khan passed through the outer cloud of drones unnoticed. The Carnix Prime hung ahead like a dark sun. Kellex whispered, "Its core is not physical, it is consciousness. You must reach its mind." How? Khan asked. "By opening yours." Kayan didn't understand. Until the stars disappeared. Suddenly, she wasn't in her cockpit. She was floating in space, alone, no mech, no KLIX, just silence. Then voices began whispering, memories not hers, alien thoughts, a child's scream from a planet long gone, a soldier crying as his city burned, a queen begging for mercy. Khan felt herself pulled into it. Her breath vanished. Her heart slowed. The Carnix Prime was showing her its truth. "We do not destroy, we collect. You are fragments of noise. We bring silence, join, or fade." Kane felt herself slipping. Then she heard another voice, soft. Human. Klix. Double quotes, KAEN. "Come back." She blinked. The cockpit returned. The mech hummed, and now she understood that the Carnix didn't hate. They didn't feel, they only consumed. So she gave them something they couldn't process. She thought of her brother, her lost home, the stars she once dreamed of as a child. She thought of the hope Earth still held, even in its darkest hour, and she felt it. The mech lit up in blinding gold. It tore through the Carnix Prime's outer body, not with weapons, but with raw connection. Kellex screamed, "They cannot absorb what they do not understand." One by one, the Carnix ships turned away, shields failing. The Prime pulsed violently. Kayan closed her eyes. One last thought. "We are not afraid of you." She launched the Eden core into the creature's heart. A shockwave rippled through space. Silent. Beautiful. Then the Prime crumbled, its shield folding inward, like a dying star. Earth had won. Not by fire, but by something stronger. The sky was quiet. No alarms. No burning ships. No more Carnix signals in Earth's orbit. People celebrated, but not Carnix. She couldn't sleep. Ever since the Eden mech returned, she felt different, as if something had followed her back through the link. Something silent, watching. Kellex confirmed it 2 days later. Something survived. Rourke's voice was cold. "How many?" "One, a drone." Kellex paused. "No, a consciousness, a Fulk, an X." Everyone in the command room went still. Kahan stepped forward. "Where is it?" Kellex answered, "Already here." Before anyone could respond, an alert echoed through the base. An object had landed quietly on the far side of the Himalayas. No heat signature, no weapon systems, just a black egg-like structure. Humming. Kaen volunteered immediately. Objected. "You're the only one who's linked with Eden. If you die, then we lose one pilot," she said. "If I don't go, we lose our chance to understand why it came alone." Kellex supported her. "I believe this is not an attack. It is a message." Hours later, Khan landed near the structure. She stepped out alone. The object stood nearly 3 meters tall, smooth, dark and faintly glowing green and gold. It pulsed like a heart. Kellex whispered through her earpiece, "Approach carefully. It may react to thought." Kayan reached out. The structure opened. Inside was not a creature, but a presence. It wasn't physical. It was a memory, a living one. Images rushed through her mind again, but these were different. She saw a Carnix world before it fell. A society once peaceful, curious, searching the stars, not for war, but for unity. Then something changed. A virus, a corruption of purpose, not made by humans, made by the Carnix themselves. It fed on fear, grew stronger each time they absorbed a new species, until the original minds were gone. Only the hunger remained, but one remained whole. A Carnix scientist, the last of the unbroken minds. It had hidden inside the network. It had watched Cade, and now it had chosen her. Kalix was stunned. Wants to speak. The structure transformed into a form Kahan could understand, humanoid, but glowing, without a face. And then, it spoke in simple words. "You changed the pattern." Khan stood still. "What do you mean?" You fought without hate. We do not understand that. She replied, we didn't want war. The being nodded. I am the last. My name is lost, but I remember. Kayan asked, why did you come here? To stop what is coming. Her blood turned cold. What's coming? The being replied, the Karnics were only one branch. There are others, older, they sleep now. But they felt the Eden pulse. Kelix whispered urgently in her ear, he's telling the truth. There are deeper signals moving in the dark. The being continued, they will come, not to study, not to learn but to feed. And you are the first species to survive the Karnics. That makes you a threat. Khan felt the weight of the stars again. One war was over. Another had already begun. She asked, can you help us? The Karnics being paused, I can guide, but you must not become like us. Power through fear leads only to silence. Then it stepped back. Its body began to fade, but before it vanished, it placed a sphere in Ken's hand, a map, it said, to where the real war began, and then it was gone. Kane returned to Earth with the sphere. Calix ran thousands of scans. The map inside pointed to a region beyond known space, a dead system, filled with black holes and time anomalies. Rourke looked at the map and said, we thought we were done. Kahan said quietly, we were just the first level.